So, what is Hitbodedut? First of all, Hitbodedut is a word in the Hebrew language that means being alone. Being alone, being in solitude, and it is a form of prayer meditation, but in comparison to other sorts of prayers or other kinds of prayers, it's not a dogmatic kind of practice. So there are no fixed sentences one has to say. There are no specific rules we have to follow. There's no set of number of repetitions we have to do. It's not about that. Hitbodedut meditation was developed in the Hasidic stream of Judaism, which was a movement of revival in the religion around the 18th century. The movement was founded by a great rabbi called the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov in Hebrew means actually the one with the good name. So in Hasidic teachings, the emphasis is on the all-pervading presence of God in the universe, the need to become one with God, which is called dvekut in Hebrew. Dvekut is basically devotion. It's another word for devotion. And there's another aspect, which is the actions that we do on our daily living and mundane acts. A great rabbi in the Hasidic movement, which is called Rabbi Nachman, was actually the great-grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, and he wrote extensively about this type of practice and gave it a very unique and accessible dimension. In comparison to other forms of prayers or prayer meditations, this specific technique is a very simple one. It emphasizes simplicity. So basically, we're not talking about a very sophisticated or very complicated form of practice. Rather, we emphasize simplicity, being simple, being humble, being direct and honest. How do we do that? So let's start understanding what it is all about. Basically, Hitbodedut is a conversation with God. And when we think about talking to God or speaking to God, it is not like something that is with a lot of pathos or something like that, but rather it's like a normal conversation. So imagine that you were talking to a close friend, for instance, a best friend. Or it's like a son talking to a father, to a loving father, to a guiding father, to a knowing father. So the only things we need for Hitbodedut is basically a heart, a mouth, because this is a speaking sort of meditation. We are speaking, we are talking during this practice. We need to give it time, and we have to be alone. This is something that we practice when we are alone. So consider this as if you as a child, as a small child even, are talking to God, the Father. And the metaphor of a child and a father is something that is very intimate, is something that is very close. And that is one purpose of the practice, is creating this closeness to God, closeness to the divine. So how does a child speak? A child is not so serious, right? Children, if we look at children, they're not very serious, they're not rigid, they're not dogmatic. So what we want to do is really speak with God, talk to God with ease and comfort and even spontaneity. Humor is also possible. So you can also laugh, you can also smile. It doesn't need to be something very, as I said, rigid or very dogmatic. We want to reach a good mixture, a well-balanced mixture between reverence and lightness. Having said that, if you do not find yourself connecting with the notion of speaking to God, you might be, for instance, atheistic. You might also, it's also possible to have this conversation with the universe, if this is more appealing to you, or the unknown. You can also speak with your heart, or with one of your bodily organs, so parts of the body. So for instance, you can talk to your heart and tell it, I wish that you would help me in expand yourself so we can encompass more others, the presence of others, and be more of benefit, for instance. So that is one example for that. So the purpose of the technique of the meditation in speaking is to create this sense of intimacy with God, intimacy with the divine, and closeness. We want to, in a way, join the presence of God. When we talk like that, and this is really, it's not like a whisper. We're not going to whisper in this specific form of practice, but we are actually talking. And if you're in a secluded place and it's okay, you can actually talk pretty loud. So it's also okay, all right? You can also sing if you find yourself attracted to that or drawn to that. So it doesn't need to be like this very quiet prayer. It's not like that. It's a conversation. So imagine again, connect to the sense of conversing with a close friend or a child conversing with a loving father. The deeper we go into the conversation, the more you will feel how the barrier between you and the divine begins to dissolve. So it begins to become one movement, and you're speaking, you will find yourself speaking and feeling really a sense of intimacy that comes from within, that begins to build from within. Again, be simple, be open, be humble. And if you start the meditation, and it might, in the beginning it might feel awkward because we're not used to speaking out loud when there's no one physical around, right? Thoughts may come, and you might wonder to yourself, have I lost my mind or something? Because people who talk loudly when there's no one around are considered not so balanced mentally, right? Or they're conversing with someone on the speakerphone with their smartphone, and we cannot see that while driving a car. So it might feel a bit awkward, but really go through this. Remember, this is a very honest, it's a very simple practice. So just continue speaking, continue expressing. Go back to the feeling of being a child that speaks to a father, to a loving father. And if you feel that you're stuck, like suddenly there are no words are coming, it's like you're dried, the words dry out, then just continue expressing. Express even that. Say, my dear Father or dear God, I feel I don't have any more words now. So just like bring that into the conversation as well. Okay? And continue talking. What will happen, because we are giving it enough time, is that the more you speak, the more you express, the more you talk, you will find yourself expressing more. You will find yourself expressing from deep within your heart. And what will happen is that you will both be conversing with God or talking to God, but you will also begin to listen to yourself. You begin to hear what your own heart is saying. Okay, so this is a practice that also helps you become more aware of your innermost feelings, desires, aspirations, and perhaps even problems. So, really try to share everything: thoughts, feelings, emotions, troubles. And as we said, this is not a practice that has rules or very specific rules. It's a very kind of free-flowing, open practice. Also, allow yourself not to make distinctions between what is considered higher and what is considered lower. So, for instance, we might think to ourselves, okay, so we are speaking now with God, then we must speak of our spiritual intentions, we must speak about our soul's purpose, but that is not the case in this practice. You can basically express your needs. It could be a wish you would like to fulfill, something you would like to do. It could be a problem you would like some consultation or advice on. And of course, it could also be your spiritual desires, aspirations, and what you would like to achieve also spiritually. So it could be both the sacred and the secular, what we refer to as sacred and secular. No distinctions. And really connect again to this sense of a child speaking to a father. You can consult with your father and share with the father whatever you wish. Another thing that we might encounter is the feeling of guilt and shame, because there's a thought that says, who are we, the little ones, to speak with God, right? So really, if you feel this guilt, you can also express it, but don't linger or don't hold on to it too much for too long. Really express it and let it dissipate, let it dissolve. It's not about guilt, it's not about embarrassment. We can share with our Father whatever we wish, basically. Again, the topics can be your spiritual evolution, but it could also be the health of yourself and loved ones. It could be your business. It could be helping you with raising your children or taking care of an elderly parent. Whatever you wish to express, whatever you wish to share. What we want basically is to let this conversation flow freely. And you will see that what happens after a while, you will begin forgetting yourself. So the sense of, in a way, the sense of being self-aware will gradually diminish during the practice. That is completely okay. And eventually, you might even feel that there's no separation. You're speaking as if you're hearing your own echo, and you feel as if you're being heard. Okay? As if someone really listens, as if God is actually there. So if this happens, that is very good. About the practice itself. If you are in a natural place, so there are a few settings that are recommended. If there's nature around you, it's a great way to practice. So if you have a field or a forest nearby, then that's a very, very supportive environment for that. But if not, you can also use a room. So you have this secluded space where you can express freely. That is also completely perfect. Rabbi Nachman used to meditate a lot, used to do this practice a lot in nature. He also wrote a poem about how the grass of the field is singing together with his prayers. That's a very beautiful poem. So you can actually feel how nature is supporting if you have the chance to do that. But again, if you have a room, secluded room, that's perfect. One more recommendation, it's always best to speak in your native language. So best to use your native tongue, the language that is closest to you, that feels most natural to you. And another thing, we said that, just another emphasis, speak out loud. So don't whisper unless there's no possibility of ensuring that no one is around or that you have this privacy. Speak out loud as if you were talking to a friend or as if you're talking to a father. Try really to connect to the energy of yourself as a child, as children, and really speak from an innocent place. Speak your heart out in a way, okay? And how we practice a few general recommendations, so you can practice it either sitting silently in the beginning, tuning into your intention. You can do it standing, you can do it also walking. And before you begin the practice itself, really tune into your intention to connect with God and to really create this sort of intimacy and closeness to the divine. When we begin, start slow, go slow, speak slowly. Let the practice in a way unfold. Let it happen really gradually, because it might take time to really enter into the practice and allow it to take place. And you can, by the way, you can, if you don't know about what to speak in the beginning, you can share some words of gratitude about, for instance, yourself, about qualities that you have and you appreciate, about the situation of your life. So something that expresses you being grateful. And speak about it, do it slowly, and then you can go to someone you know and continue speaking about their attributes, about their qualities and what you appreciate about them. If your body wants to also share this conversation, let it happen. So you might find yourself moving in specific ways, in certain ways, allowing your body to express in non-verbal ways also your wishes could also be helpful. So if your body begins to move in specific ways, or wants to dance or wants to do something, tune into that and try to give it words. Try to turn these movements, these bodily gestures into words and integrate them into your conversation as well. Allow for humor to take place. If you want to laugh, that's completely okay. So remember, we are children here. And then you can move to yearning, what you wish, what you would like to wish, what you would like to happen, what are your deepest wishes. You can also take a sentence like, my dear Father, or dear God, or in the Jewish tradition they say Ribono shel Olam, like the Lord of the world. So you can choose a sentence like that and repeat it whenever you feel you want to continue or you don't have anything to say. I think that's it. So remember, speak out loud, go slow, do it slowly, and share as if you're a child sharing with a loving Father.